Welcome back to episode 48 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Holy shit. Uh what a day of baseball was today. Um Something a little different here. You get a little late night with me and Matt. Instant reaction after game 4 of the NLCS. And then we're reacting to the game earlier, game 5 of the ALCS, which that was entertaining too, but man, I really thought we were going to come on here in better spirits.
So
But
was I. I I was feeling pretty good there for most of the game, and obviously we'll dive. I'm gonna have a fantastic rant for everybody today, so you hold on. Don't tune out of here yet. We're just setting the stage up a little bit. Um, no, it's about midnight here on the East Coast, so but I'm still a little jacked up from the game yet, but set the stage a little bit for me, Mello.
you just mentioned it right at the top that it seems like it was the Phillies game to lose for the first 7 innings. And then Craig Kimbrell came out of the bullpen. You would think 5 runs would be enough to win a game like that. But Arizona Diamondbacks get one, I think, in the 6th inning. They get, or if not the 7th inning, to make it 5-3. And then Kimbrell comes in, gives up the 2-run home run to Alec Thomas, Team Mexico legend we saw at that same stadium
Man,
in
he
the
couldn't hit then.
WBC in March. No,
He couldn't hit then.
hit it right into the pool, and 2 fans got in there. That was kind of cool to see. I
It was
kind of
cool.
like that.
Yeah.
And then I think he hits Corbin Carroll, but I think another guy got on before him. And then Rob Thompson said that's enough. And then he brought in Jose Alvarado, which, if you had not watched that game, if you saw Jose Alvarado coming out, you can be like, oh, okay, Phillies have the lead and he's in for a closing situation. He was in there to try to get it to the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Forget about the everything else. And then he's put in a bad situation. He gives up the base hit. Runner scores. Chase Field going nuts. Diamondbacks lead 6-5, and they win by the exact same score. I'm done talking. Matt, this is your team. Take it away.
I'm gonna start here with Christopher Sanchez. A nice job in the start. I mean, hey, we didn't expect too much out of you. It was a lot calling on you to be our 4th starter. And then we twist this into a full-on bullpen game. And we have a guy who we signed to like a 3-year, $70 or $80 million contract in Taijuan Walker, who has not pitched an inning. He hasn't pitched a pitch in the postseason. And I was thinking, hey, this is lined up pretty good. Either he could make the start against his former team, the Diamondbacks, or at the very least, we put him in the bullpen to start the game instead of him sitting around in the dugout so that he could possibly piggyback, eat some of these innings up. And even though he hasn't thrown a pitch all postseason, he might have been better than the Phillies bullpen tonight. Ryan Kerkering, you have had a great little magical run here. We've been pretty staunch in our opinions. We've been pretty solid in our opinions, all of us, that the moment can get a little too big for rookies and young kids sometimes. That's why we picked the Rangers to beat the Orioles, and I think we saw it a little bit in this game. Some of the younger relievers from both sides, Diamondbacks and the Phillies, sort of crumbled underneath the pressure a little bit. And listen, I'm not one to speak because from my little experience playing Little League Baseball and high school baseball, I was not very great under pressure. But listen, I'm in a position now where I'm talking about it, and I feel that I can say, got to be a little better than that. You can't be walking 2 batters in a row and then be getting the bases loaded, walking a run in. That's Can't be doing that in a postseason game like this. Rob Thompson, I'm a little torn of whether you pull him or you let him in. I'm glad you didn't put Craig Kimbrell in that situation because we probably would have lost 8-5 then. But either way, you come back the next inning, you put Craig Kimbrell in. I understand you legitimately only have Craig Kimbrell and Jose Alvarado left in your bullpen. That's the only two guys that you have left in your bullpen, I believe. So you bring Craig Kimbrell in the seventh then, or eighth, whatever it was. And what a waste of $10 million. What a waste. When are we going to realize Craig Kimbrell's washed up? He has not been a good closer for like 5 years now. But yet he gets these 1 or 2, 10, $13 million a year for him to be a mediocre relief pitcher, blow a couple saves for some teams, occasionally have a nice outing. He was the reason the Phillies lost this game. He's been the reason they've lost quite a few games this season. It's ridiculous. I would love to. I was telling Mello, we talked for a short time before coming on here. I would love to say that Craig Kimbrell will not, should not, cannot be on the World Series roster if the Phillies even make it that far. But the Phillies don't have much of other options. Like, they don't have a lot of other relief pitchers that they're going to put on the roster other than Craig Kimbrell. So I think he'll probably make the roster if they make it that far. But I swear, we better not see him again in those type of situations because he's past that point in his career. He doesn't have control with his breaking balls. He can't locate them at all. And his fastball is right down the middle. They don't have any little bit of last-second movement, and he's not able to locate them exactly how he wants to anymore. And that's what's going to happen. You left that one over the middle for Alek Thomas, he's had a decent bit of pop here in the postseason. He has 2 home runs. It's more than a lot of players, but statistically, historically, I've mentioned it, not a great hitter overall in his career. He's better known for his speed and his defense. And you give up a two-run home run to him, and that's, obviously how the Phillies lose the game pretty much. He can't be in that situation. No Craig Kimbrell. Give me Jose Alvarado for a full inning and a third. I don't care. Whatever you got to do. Stretch out Matt Strahm a little bit. Give him a little bit more responsibility. Like I said, I would have loved to see Taijuan Walker. Just let him eat 2 innings and push everybody out and force Craig Kimbrell out of there. We don't need him in those situations anymore. It's not a winning formula at all. I don't understand that. One more thing, and we'll get to your opinions on it. We saw the flip side of this in the bottom of the 9th inning. Paul Sewald. There's a real closer you feel pretty good about most of the time. Now, granted, he gave up the double to Kyle Schwarber, but that was pretty good hitting by Schwarber. It's not like Sewald misdisplaced there. He was trying to go inside on him, and Schwarber was able to pull his hands in and drive it down the line. Phillies, you had the same opportunity. You could have traded for him at the trade deadline. I don't hold that against Dombrowski because we're feeling a little bit better about our bullpen at the time, but you never had a set closer all season. Kimbrell was sort of your default closer, but he struggled all season long. He wasn't locked down. And that's going to be the Achilles heel for this Phillies team, is you don't have a guy who can close it down there in the end. A couple questionable calls there at the end of the game. I'm not blaming that at all. Not at all. Phillies had opportunities, and they blew opportunities. But just a stated fact, there were missed calls there at the end. I know the Phillies got a couple calls too, so just stating a fact. Props to Gabriel Moreno. Props to Alex Thomas. They're looking like studs. Yeah. What do you got from this game that I didn't already mention?
I mean, you hit it right on top of the head. I mean, you mentioned this loss is on Craig Kimbrell. This loss is on Rob Thompson, too. Just, again, going back to Craig Kimbrell, 24 hours, not even 24 hours later, after he blew game 3. And, it's like, all right, you can live with it. Diamondbacks first game back. All right, fine. Offense didn't show up. You lost 2-1. You can live with it. You're still up 2-1. But we'll get into the other side with the Astros and the Rangers. But why couldn't Jose Alvarado get 6 outs? Ryan Presley was able to get 6 outs. He had some trouble, but he was able to work out of it. Just, again, and I'm not saying, I'm sure analytics probably had something to do with it, or just because you deflated your whole bullpen and you had no other choice. But have a feel, again, have a feel for it. My closer just lost me a game yesterday. I understand you want to give him another chance, and maybe there is another opportunity for that down the road, but he cannot be out there with a 2-run lead like that. Can't be.
No.
Can't be. Either you stretch the guy out beforehand and let him get maybe 1 or 2 more outs, and then have Jose Alvarado get the last 4 outs of the game or a 2-inning save. It's easy to say that now because the game is over and everything happened. If, the tone would be so different if Craig Kimbrell got out of that and the Phillies ended up winning this game. Conversation would be totally different right now. But, the Diamondbacks are really embracing their slogan. Embrace the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
They're down 5-3 in the 6th inning. 5-2 in the 6th inning. They could have said, oh, well, Phillies are a better team. Here they come. We're going to lose the game today. Season's over. They didn't do that. They fought back. They worked ABs. They got walks. They got timely hittings. And they got the big home run from Alek Thomas in the 8th inning. And they just rode the momentum. But every Philly fan felt so good about it, and maybe you do. I don't know. We'll get to that in a second. You were up 2-0, and you won Game 2 very convincingly at home. And I'm not saying you specifically, but there was a lot of people that said this series was over. Probably myself included.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, 3 games left. Whoever wins these next 2 is going to the World Series. All of a sudden now, here come the Diamondbacks. Now, I think the Phillies are still going to win this series because they do have the 2 games at home. And nobody has beaten them at home yet. We haven't seen that yet. So, you got to feel good about it. I know it's hard right now, but I guess I got to ask you, what's your level of panic right now? Because it was a lot different than yesterday.
Yes. There's 2 ways that I can look at this in my mind here. There's 2 ways my mind presents it to me, I should say. First off, Phillies win the first 2. D-backs win the next 2. You got to think this Phillies team isn't going to lose 2 of the next 3 now, too. It's just, you feel like that's not going to they can't let that happen. This next game, Game 5, is absolutely huge. We need to win that one. And you got to think the Phillies not going to get swept in Arizona. They got to get 1 there. You would think so. The other way you think about it is momentum shifted, took a huge swing, and I don't think it could have swung anymore. 10-0 in the second game. Like you said, Phillies were on top of the world. They weren't just on top of the stadium roof up there watching the game. They were on top of the world after Game 2. And people were saying, oh, Phillies in 4. I didn't go that far. My original prediction was Phillies in 6, which, hey, still has got a shot. That was all of our predictions, actually.
You don't like the way you're going to get to the 6, but...
No. But it still has a shot. Giant momentum shift now. And can the Phillies buck that in Game 3 here? I mean, I imagine we're seeing Gallen Wheeler. You would think so. That's how it's lined up pretty much, with both teams throwing a bullpen game today. We saw what we did in Game 1. Phillies won. We got to Zach Gallen, and Wheeler was dominant. We left him in a tad bit too long, but maybe Rob Thompson learns from that after 2 games now that he left Wheeler in just 2 or 3 batters too long, really. I still feel pretty good about the Phillies right now. Like you said, still got 2 of these 3 at home, and like you said, next team to win 2 games is advancing. Phillies happen to have the 2 at home, have not lost at home in the postseason this year. I feel pretty good about that. Would I feel better if all 3 of these games were at home? Yeah, a little bit. And I am on the record of saying, and we both are, I don't like the 2-3-2 setup. It's terrible, but I don't know. I don't have a solution to suggest, so maybe I can't go and just criticize it for nothing. But I don't like the 2-3-2 setup at all.
I'm so glad you mentioned the momentum too, and this is the thing that I was thinking about immediately after the Phillies lost this game. They have been playing with house money, and they have had no pressure on them the last 2 years of this. They've been the underdogs. They haven't been the favorites. They were supposed to lose to the Cardinals. They were supposed to lose to the Braves. They were supposed to lose to the Padres. They lost to the Astros. They were supposed to lose to the Braves, depending on who you ask. They weren't supposed to lose to the Marlins. For the first time in this core group, there's pressure to win the game now tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how the switch can flip. You're not playing with house money anymore. You have to win this series, and you have to win the game tomorrow. And I'm so anxious to see how this Philly team responds, because they've been the team applying the pressure to the other team, to the other side.
Yep.
For the first time in a couple years, their backs are kind of against the wall here, and the pressure's on them to win tomorrow, and at least these next 2 games. I'm so anxious, and I'm so interested and intrigued to see how this Philly team responds, because you're not the underdogs anymore right now. You have to win this series.
Yeah. And the Diamondbacks are even more, they're playing with, if you can have more house money, they're playing with it, because the Phillies team, at least coming into last season and into this season, it was expectations. It's like, well, when is this Phillies team going to make a playoff run? Like, when are they actually going to make the playoffs? And this Diamondbacks team, their win total was like about 500, maybe, coming into the season. And obviously they blew past that. So they're playing with even more house money at this point. And then one more thing. We haven't even seen Corbin Carroll in this series do Corbin Carroll things at all. We haven't seen Christian Walker, who they mentioned on the broadcast, finished 3rd in RBIs this year, I believe. Maybe it was in the National League, either way. He is a solid hitter. He's a good power hitter. And he hasn't done anything in this series either. We haven't seen those 2 contribute at all yet. Ketel Marte is on a heater right now. He is the most dangerous bat in that lineup, I would say. So momentum's definitely shifted. And if the D-backs can hold on for Game 3, they're in a prime spot to make it back to the World Series for the first time since 2001.
Yeah, and even after, I mean, I have no intel, I have no insight of what the players were saying after Game 2, but they were probably like, okay, all right, fine, we lost here, but we haven't been home yet. You haven't seen our crowd either. Now, it's nowhere near to where the Phillies are at the bank. I'm not saying that, but so far, every team has held serve. Yeah. Whether there's a good amount of Philly fans at Chase Field or not. But could this be a situation where all these teams win their home games? Could happen.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
We've seen it before.
I'm okay with that.
That's true.
It's the one thing, not the one thing, but it's a piece of that hope there left. It's, hey, at the very worst, we lose tomorrow, we're going back to the bank, and we have 2 there. Hey, we got to win them both, but we haven't lost there yet this season. We have a very good historical record there in the postseason as a whole. We know that Philly's got our back. We're not relying on a bunch of literal Homer Simpson coming out of the Shrubs fans for these D-backs, because I don't think this many D-backs fans existed before they came to the NLCS. You tuned into any Diamondback games throughout the season, and you were very able to because they were on MLB TV for free for half the season. So
you can throw the Suns in that category too.
Yeah, you didn't see that crowd once the whole season, I bet.
Filled.
Okay? Yeah, exactly. And probably, I would feel comfortable saying a tenth of those fans were Phillies fans, probably. You saw quite a few Phillies fans, Phillies jerseys in the stands. But yeah, snakes will be dead soon. Mark my words. Snakes are not alive. I was ready to put that meme out when the Phillies were up 5-2, but can't do that at this point. So, all right, that's enough on the Phillies rant, because we got another.
You got it all out.
I think so. At the end of the day, I feel it's probably my feeling. This is not predictions. Feeling wise, I'm feeling like 60% bad, 40% good still about the series. But I mean, predictions wise, I still think the Phillies are gonna pull it out even as a non-biased fan. But we'll move on to the Astros and Rangers game, which was, we thought we weren't going to get a better game tonight than that one because of the ending that we had there. 4 highlight plays, 4 show-stopping, whatever you want to say, big-time plays, big-time moments in that game. What were you taking away from that one?
Before I really get in the thick of things with this, Justin Verlander got bailed out again.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of baseball fans love to dump on Kershaw for his crappy playoff record. Rightfully so. I'm not saying he's great. He's not good. I understand Verlander has the second ring, but he's not great in the playoffs either. He got his first World Series win last year in Philly, and he stunk it up again today. But because Altuve hit the big 3-run home run in the 9th inning, everybody forgets about it.
Yeah.
He's an okay playoff pitcher. He's not great. He's not Kirk Schilling. He's not Roger Clemens. But best game of the series. We were asking, can we get a good game in this series, please? Because the first 4 games were not interesting at all. They weren't. And now it's the flip side. No team has won a home game yet this series.
Nope.
And just when you thought the Astros were dead, down 0-2, going to Arlington with 3 home games, 3 road games for the Astros. The Astros show why they are baseball's dynasty in the last decade.
That's right.
They figure out a way to get 3 wins, and now they're going back to Minute Maid up 3-2. Now listen, watch this, and now the Rangers are going to win the next 2 games, and nobody wins a home game. But disappointing for the Texas Rangers. And you figured that this was going to happen. This high-powered offense, it's coming down a little bit. They're getting shut down by that pitching. But the biggest problem I had today, and I mentioned this on the MLB post after the Astros won the game, Marcus Semien, bottom of the 9th situation, runners on first and second. Marcus Simeon comes up to the plate. He's had a bad postseason. Can't get a hit to save his life. Struggling. Why are we not putting a bunt sign on? Why not? That bothered me. And I know it's baseball in 2023 and these guys don't bunt. They all try to hit the big home run ball. But he struggled all postseason long. Put a bunt down and at least try to get the runner on second over the third. And you know what happened the very next batter, Corey Seager? He hit a fly out to center. If Marcus Simeon gets that bunt down, Seager hits the sac fly to center, and this game is tied, and maybe we have a different story. That was my biggest problem. Jose Altuve, we give him a lot of crap, too, for the cheating stuff and the buzzer we're in 2019. I know everybody hates the guy, but he's pretty damn good. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's coming from a Dodger fan. I know a lot of people are not going to like that. He's a damn good postseason player. This guy's getting a big home run left and right, big hits, and he's just stone cold faced, shows no emotion whatsoever. Some guys are made for the postseason. Jose Altuve is one of those guys, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. It's tough when you have so many just straight up killers in that lineup. I mean, up and down, there's not really a guy, there's not two or three guys that you don't feel great about when they come to the plate. With Altuve, Bregman, Brantley is a professional hitter. I mean, that guy has been one of the most underrated hitters of his career. Yordan Alvarez, obviously.
Kyle Tucker, who struggled this postseason, he's starting to find it. He got a couple big hits today.
Jose Abreu, who was not great all season, he's clutched up here in the postseason. He's finding it. There's just Marty Maldonado's not an offensive catcher at all. At all. The Astros temporarily replaced him with Christian Vasquez because they needed a little bit of offense. He's figuring it out a little bit. He's contributing a little bit. When you're getting contributions like that from anywhere, it makes winning the ball game a whole lot easier. I'm gonna make a little bit of a Colin Cowherd metaphor here. He's pretty famous for those, and this is personal. This hurts me to say this, but the Texas Rangers, they're a bit like my precious car right now. Hey, that offense, that's pretty nice. My car's pretty nice when it's running. Right now it is not. I need a new alternator. I'm fixing that right now. This Texas Rangers offense, they're either really nice, but then there's moments where it's like, what happened? They just disappear. It's not rolling. They're not running right now. It's great when it's going, but it's not consistent. It's not there for you every day. And I wish I could say the Astros are like a nice Toyota Camry and they're there for you every single day with at least 3 runs. But they're more like a very nice Mercedes and they're there for you every day with like 5 runs. So this Rangers offense needs to figure it out a little bit. They need to be a little more consistent. They need to get those guys going. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. When you have guys... Okay, Adolis Garcia, inject that energy in my veins. Oh my goodness. That guy is a beast. Let me say, I was already borderline Adolis Garcia fan. He made a fan out of me tonight. If I was to buy another player's jersey, not a Phillies player, you might have to sign me up for an Adolis Garcia jersey. Jersey, whatever you want to say. That guy is electric. When we talk about electric ball players... We don't really talk about him. Yeah.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. When you talk about electric ball players, Fernando Tatis. I mean, I don't want to say that about Bryce Harper in that voice, but Ronald Acuna Jr., Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani.
Not Bryce Harper.
Oh yeah, exactly. Put Adolis Garcia in that category. This guy is a bona fide star at this point, and he needs some damn respect. And the way he's playing with energy, Astros apparently not a big fan of that, and we're just going to jump right into that right now. I'm of the opinion, and it's tough to. This is tough, and maybe we'll find out more in the future. Who knows? I don't think Abreu should have been ejected for that. Me personally, it seemed very inadvertent. You were losing the game at that point. Why do you want to put another batter on first base over Adolis Garcia pimping a home run like that? Dusty Baker's a smart guy, and sure, he's an old school guy, but you have to not be very smart to call for somebody to get hit in that situation in the game. That's my thoughts. What do you got?
Yeah, and Tom Verducci, I was listening to the broadcast. He said it perfectly. You do that in spring training. Don't do that in Game 5 of the American League Championship Series.
Yeah.
I don't care what any Astro fan or player wants to tell you. He 100% intended to throw at Adios Garcia for that. I don't want to. I think he did.
Oh, okay.
I think he did. 1,000% he did. I know people are going to say, well, the ball got away from him. I'm not buying it. Not buying it. You threw directly at him. It would have been one thing if you threw a little bit more in and he got out of the way. I think you threw at him. And Garcia did too, because he went right into Maldonado's face and had a couple words for him. And shout out to him for not blinking an eye. He stood his ground. He's like, he was like, no, I didn't mean to hit you. What are you talking about? And yeah, nobody should have gotten ejected for that. Now, I don't blame Dusty for getting ejected. That's what he's supposed to do.
Dusty,
I'd be more disappointed if your manager didn't do that, which Dave Roberts wouldn't do that. Let me be on record of that. Dusty Baker 100% should have deserved. He shouldn't have got thrown out, but he had every right to do that. That's backing up your team. And I think Maldonado said it in the postgame. You don't want to wake up the Houston Astros. And that's
right.
what happened. And but I think he intended to throw at him. And if the benches don't clear, nobody gets thrown out. But if you're the umpires, you can't eject anybody in a big postseason game like that when the series is tied. Worry about that after.
I agree with that. Dusty's the only one that I'm okay with getting thrown out. Humorous moment out of all of this. It took the biggest guy in basically all of baseball, Yordan Alvarez, to come over. I don't know if you saw this. Grab Adolis, pull him off the pile, and be like, hey, calm down a little bit, bro. And Yordan is funny. You do not see a lot of emotion from him. And if it is, it's him being pretty happy that he just smoked a home run to beat my Phillies in the World Series. Pretty much. But he's just over there, straight face, like pulling him off, like, quiet down, bro. Like, calm down a little bit. I thought that was very funny. That in that moment, like, they weren't trying to fight each other. I don't know if they're, like, friends off the field. I would imagine maybe.
I'm sure they are.
If you feel that comfortable to come up and grab him like that. At least know each other a little bit. But I found that a little bit funny. That they were not trying to fight. Yordan's over there giving him a big bear hug and holding him back the whole time. Holding Adolis back the whole time. Thought that was funny. I'm a little bit of the opposite camp. I don't think Abreu tried to hit him, and I just think I'd like to think he has a higher baseball IQ than that. Like, you can't be putting somebody on at that point over Adolis watching a home run. Like, come on now. And maybe that's me being a little bit optimistic, or more me saying what I would do or wouldn't do in this case. But maybe I'm wrong. I could be totally wrong. Could have been even Brian Abreu might not have been the one who made the choice. Sometimes those are, I don't want to say called shots, but to borrow a term from the mafia, a hit was put out on Adolis Garcia for that at bat. Whether it was Maldonado, whether it was like a Bregman, a Brantley, some for leader in there, whether it was JV, it could have been Justin Verlander. I don't think he's that kind of guy, but we've seen him get pretty fired up. Could have been. Sometimes those are, I don't want to say predetermined, but a little bit like, hey, we're expecting you to go out and teach this guy a lesson. Decisions made the inning before, the at-bat before, whatever.
If you don't like it, get him out the next time.
Yeah.
And why are you watching why are you watching him anyways? What? I don't know. That's just me. I really hope that wasn't Dusty's decision, and I don't think it is.
I don't think
he's a smart guy. He understands the situation, but if it was him who made the decision, very disappointed. But like I said, I don't think he made that decision. If he even intended to throw at him.
Yeah, if he did. Oh, what was I gonna say? I don't know. But yeah, the interesting sequence of events. But that's not even the most interesting because Marcus Semien, bottom of the sixth inning, or top of the sixth inning, makes a nice sliding catch, to keep the game at the current score it was.
2-1.
Nice little throw there, yes. And then that's what led to the Adelise home run in the bottom. But then seventh inning. No, that was when Adelise got hit. Top of the ninth, Jose Altuve. This guy is nuts. I mean, if he is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, somebody messed up there, I'd say. That his postseason numbers are enough to, in my eyes, to overcome his regular season numbers are very good. They're not quite great at everything. And he has the MVP, which everybody will say he didn't deserve. But I think his postseason numbers at this point are enough to trump all of that. Should be enough to trump the buzzers, especially since, whether you believe it or not, everybody seems to say Altuve had nothing to do with it or didn't want anything to do with it. Whether that's true or not, that's sort of, I don't know if it's understood, but that's sort of what everybody says at this point. He's one of the greatest postseason hitters of all time. He's clutch. He just missed a home run. He's just missed quite a few home runs in this season or in this series already. He's been clutch all postseason. Well, not all postseason. He got off to a slow start, but since he's been in these big moments recently, he has been very clutch. And like I said, to start this all off, there's not a lot of people you feel comfortable facing in that Astros lineup going forward.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. Well, wasn't it obvious that Jose Altuve was going to hit a home run there,
Felt like
or at least get on base, or tie the game? Somebody said that on Twitter immediately after. He's like, "Yeah, I think you're right." It just the way it was set up. Ironically, it was his number in the order. First two guys got on base, and the rest is history. And it's been a long time. It's been 13 years since 20. It's been 12 years since 2011, when the Ranger fan got their heart broken by David Freese. Oh man, is Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez going to be next on that list? Because if they don't win a game here, it's going to be another disappointing. I don't want to say choke job, but
well,
I think it is. But the Ranger fans have been heartbroken, and they're very close to getting heartbroken again.
Yeah, they can't seem to put on for their home crowd there, which kind of sucks for them. But I'll say this: you said about how the moment seemed like it was lined up. If people would dare to say the sport is rigged, if the sport was rigged, Bryce Harper would have came up with a shot to win the game for the Phillies at the end there. Trey Turner would have walked or got a single or something. That wasn't the case, So baseball's not rigged. Trust me. Rob Manfred does not want the Diamondbacks in the playoffs longer than they have to be, I would think. I mean, not a great market there. Lots of rising stars, but I think he'd take Philly with a sellout every game and ticket prices like three times.
$1,000. Oh.
Yeah. 3 times, 4 times, whatever it would be at the Citizens Bank than at Chase Field. So, but yeah, it was lined up perfectly. We put a meme out. Jose Altuve is inevitable at this point, and he kind of is. There's no two ways around it. It's going to be him or it's going to be Yordan up in a big moment, it feels like, in the rest of this ALCS or inevitably the World Series at this point, too. But who knows? Still another 2 games to figure out in that season or series. Could only be one, though, if the Astros take care of business at Minute Maid.
Yeah, by the time we come back on Monday, we could have, or Tuesday or whenever, sometime next week, we could have your World Series matchup. Probably.
Yeah. Could be. I don't know. I feel confident, though, that the Astros are going to get back. It's...
I think there is a Game 7.
Oh.
I think there is a Game 7.
Okay. I feel like the winning all your games away is going to end in this next game. Houston's going to take care of business at Minute Maid. They're going to put on for that home crowd there. And they have a very good fan base. They always sell out there. So my prediction will be Astros in 6. But you're saying Astros in 7 or Rangers in 7?
That was my pick. Astros in 7. So honestly, I forgot I even did that. Yeah, I'll stick with it. I obviously hope the Rangers win, but I'll stick with it. I want to be right.
Yeah. I mean, one final thing here. Astros are definitely a dynasty now. I mean, you have to.
Well, they solidified that after they won last year.
If there was any question, then it's been answered at this point. In my mind. But, yeah. So we'll be back here probably Monday or Tuesday, whenever. We'll see how the series end. Depending how the series end is probably depending when we'll come back on. But yeah, you're welcome for this little treat of an episode here, because otherwise you would have just
Matt
heard
is
our
awake.
thoughts from. I am. You would have just heard my thoughts and our thoughts from maybe halfway through the Rangers game, and not even any thoughts from the Phillies game, most likely. So you're welcome for that. We were troopers.
Yeah, players in the postseason have to step up and deliver in big moments. We got to do the same thing. We got to come up and sacrifice and stay up late night and deliver in the postseason as well.
That's right. Now you can deliver for us. If you're listening on Spotify, subscribe, leave a review, or follow, whatever it is on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube. Looking to grow this some more. But thanks for tuning in and watching too. We appreciate it. And yeah, so like I said, new episode pending on how these series end here, but we'll see you again sometime around the beginning of next week. Yeah, we'll talk to you later. Episode 48 in the books. See ya.
Adios. Good night, Matt.